My name is Barb Calora, and I'm the President and CEO of Resolve, the National Infertility Association. Resolve is a nonprofit organization that improves the lives of men and women living with infertility here in the United States. First, I want to set the stage. Infertility affects 1 in 8 couples of reproductive age. It does not discriminate based on your race, your economic status, or where you live. It impacts people all over the world. The Family Act is a bill that's been introduced in the U.S. Senate and the House of Representatives, and this bill is a tax credit that does 2 things. For people who are diagnosed with infertility, and for that small portion of people who need in vitro fertilization to build a family, this will provide a tax credit for their out-of-pocket costs for in vitro fertilization. There are some important components of the bill that help keep the costs down for the federal government, and I just want to point out a couple of those. This bill is also modeled after an existing piece of law, which is the adoption tax credit. The adoption tax credit has helped thousands of families across the country since 1997, and from Resolve's perspective, the adoption tax credit has helped many of our constituents build their families. And we know how important it has been, and in looking at an opportunity to help people who need medical treatment to build their family, we looked at the adoption tax credit. So many of the income caps and other considerations in the Family Act are exactly what's in the adoption tax credit. The adoption tax credit allows for a lifetime tax credit of $13,360. An important component of that is there's a cost sharing. The individual, the patient, can claim up to 50% of their out-of-pocket costs up to that $13,360. It's a lifetime cap. Like the adoption tax credit, the Family Act also has an income ceiling. So the bill starts phasing out if the combined household income is $180,000, and it completely goes away for people making over $220,000. The point of that is this is for middle-income families. When Resolve has surveyed our constituents, 80% have a combined household income of under $150,000. So we know that this piece of legislation will help a huge number of people that we serve.
Thank you so much for letting me have the chance to share my story. I hope that what I share will give you just kind of a picture of what many men and women are going through every day, and that I can connect the dots between the Family Act and our Bill of Rights, the pursuit of happiness, because really having a family, that's our right to have happiness. I am a high school mathematics teacher. I've worked for both public and private schools, and I love kids. I've loved them from since the early 90s, so I've been doing it for a long time. And my kids would always say, well, when are you going to have children? When are you going to have children? Well, along the road, I hoped in my heart that would happen for me. And then when I met and married my husband, I knew immediately that we needed to seek treatment. And I did what most women do. You go see your doctor that's provided for you by the great insurance that the public school system has. So I went and saw my doctor. And at the time, the $200 to $500 consult fee to see a specialist, well, that just seemed crazy. Boy, was I wrong. We had a very sweet doctor, and the insurance through the Unified School District didn't allow for IVF treatments. It would only allow for IUIs. Unfortunately, that was not the best treatment for me, and it would cover part of the medicine involved in that treatment. So I began what I call my 2-year dive into IUI darkness. My husband would agree with me. It was tremendously difficult, a lot of heartbreak. Each month, as I lost precious time, we lived this roller coaster emotion, having this hope that this IUI would produce a baby, which we so desperately wanted, and then having that crushing moment when we realized, nope, not again. The hormone treatments over this time wreaking havoc on my body, my mind, and just it's a tough road to walk through. Overall, the school district footed the bill for 14 ineffective IUI treatments. 14. My husband and I personally, at the end of that, desperate, we paid for 2 IVF surgeries, and then, of course, they didn't work, and then one frozen embryo transfer. And these were all with a great doctor, a really sweet man, but he wasn't a specialist. He wasn't a specialist. And it doesn't matter how great you are and how personable you are and that your insurance covers it, but if you're not a specialist, you're not going to be able to give the right treatment for the person who needs it so that they can have a family. I am extremely disappointed in myself for not seeking out multiple options. And you know what? I think that this tax bill, this Family Act, would have been just the catalyst to help me say, oh my gosh, there's other options for me. With the encouragement of the women in Resolve, I finally did see a consult with a specialist in the field of reproductive medicine, it's Dr. Agwal. Awesome, wonderful man. We have twins now. And this is really important. In a facility that is fine-tuned for reproductive medicine, fine-tuned. He had everything that he needed. And this is what blows me away. It took me 2 months. 2 months of treating the right symptoms. I had polycystic ovarian syndrome. We treated that. 2 months. 1 IVF later, I've got twins. They're 4.5.
I just realized I didn't finish the thought. I mentioned that there are 2 important components of this bill, and I already addressed the first one, which for people with a diagnosis of infertility, they can use the tax credit for their out-of-pocket costs for in vitro fertilization. And the second component of this bill also has what we call fertility preservation. And this is an opportunity for people who've been diagnosed with cancer or other conditions that may render them sterile to use the tax credit for those medical procedures to preserve their fertility so that after their cancer treatment, they can have a family down the road.
This is something that's just a social good to allow them to have a family. So we as an organization, SART, ASRM, support this bill. We would like to have and help our patients as much as they can and help them build their families. Thank you.